Hey, what's going on? Not much. Just trying to figure out this whole community of practice thing. James G. argues that community isn't the right metaphor when studying digital spaces. No? What does he suggest? Well, what's a community? A group of people. But how's this group of people defined? I guess like a culture or a religion? Well, does that sound like a lot of the spaces you hang out and learn on online? No. G calls these affinity spaces, and they're organized mainly around a common endeavor or purpose, not so much a race or in affinity spaces. The role between the apprentice and the master is also different. Huh? Well, let me put it in your words. A noob and a master. Oh, okay. In affinity spaces, the master and the noob share the same space. They can get different things based on different purposes. You mean one could learn, lurk, or lead? Yes. They share the same space. Oh, okay. How do people gather in infinity spaces? I mean, in a community, you can meet in the town square. Well, G defines affinity spaces and space in general as involving content. And this doesn't have to be online. Many infinity spaces meet in both the digital space and the meet spaces. In fact, one of the cardinal rules of infinity spaces is that some portals can be strong generators. Whoa. Portals? Generators? You're right. I guess it would be important to define some key terms right now. In infinity spaces, space is defined by content. And this can be organized in two ways: content organization and interactional organization. In content organization, that is how is the content organized by, say, in a video game, by the game designers or by the moderators of a community. Interactional organization is how people interact with that content. Now, a portal is anything that gives you access to that content or ways to interact with that content. And a generator? Well, that's what gives the space content. So when you can have ways into the content act as a generator to a content, you can continuously be creating and making and redefining. In communities, things are usually organized around laws or norms. Does this happen in affinity spaces? Of course, there are norms and ways of being, but the interactional organization can change the content organization. Huh? Well, remember, the content organization was how the original generator worked. It's how the people who planned it made it work. And the interactional organization is how the users interact with the content. But that changes and interacts with each other in a balance. Look at the hashtag, for example, on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter didn't even mean to usually have a hashtag. Exactly. It was invented by the users, and then it was added as a feature later on to Twitter. This knowledge can be both individual or distributed. Huh? Individual or distributed? Yes. Individual knowledge is knowledge that you have stored in your own head. So then, what's distributed knowledge? Distributed knowledge is knowledge that is in other people's heads, or on the networks, or stored in some other device that you have access to. Oh, I see. Yes, a key feature is that this knowledge is networked, and everyone within the affinity space has access to the distributed knowledge. G makes reference to one more kind of knowledge in affinity spaces. Oh, and what's that? Dispersed knowledge. Dispersed knowledge? Isn't that like distributed knowledge? Well, distributed knowledge is within the space. Dispersed knowledge is knowledge found outside of the space. Huh? I'm confused. Well, think about it this way. Some of the biggest fan fiction sites are affinity spaces. What if you're writing fan fiction about vampires? Or zombies. I like zombies. Okay, zombies. Well, maybe you leave that space to go to Wikipedia to learn more about classic zombie literature, or to go to IMDb to review movies of your favorite zombies. And then you go back to the space and use that new knowledge to inform the fan fiction you're working on. That's dispersed knowledge. Oops, I forgot. G mentions one more kind of knowledge. One more? Man, he defines lots of knowledge. Well, it's a big concept. So, what's this one kind of knowledge you forgot? Tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is the knowledge of how we can do things, but often we have trouble explaining them. Oh, what do you mean? Well, take a swing, for example. Tell me, how exactly do you use a swing? I guess I kind of push and pull? See, exactly. It's hard to explain. Tacit knowledge is action knowledge, and it's usually learned through joint action. We, in effect, exchange tacit knowledge rather than learn it, and it is critical in infinity spaces. So, as we've learned, participation is key in affinity spaces. Yeah, I see that now. However, there are many routes and pathways to this participation. Oh, what do you mean? Well, they can change. The possibilities are almost endless. You might be active one week, might take some time off. I guess you could lurk, or you could listen, or participate. That is one of the key features of an infinity spaces, is that we allow people to have pathways in and out. In infinity spaces, there are also many routes to status. Status! Yes, the idea is basically that you can be good at many different things because there's many different kinds of knowledge and many different routes of participation. Oh, so it's not just a recognized leader? No, status comes in many forms. Sure, there could be some kind of content organization that recognizes status, such as experience points, or badges, or number of followers. I don't have that many followers. That's no worry, because you can find status in other ways. There is one last characteristic or defining feature of affinity spaces. Oh, and what is that? Well, it revolves around leadership. Oh, so like communities, they have leaders? Well, not in the traditional sense. They can't make or enforce rules. In fact, there is no real king, just a bunch of king makers. See, in affinity spaces, the leaders are both porous and a resource. What do you mean by porous? Well, they can come and go. Or you might turn to a different leader based on the kind of specialized knowledge that they bring. If they have intensive knowledge that you need, you'll go to that leader. Oh, I see. And they change a lot. People hop out of space.